book online and just go have a good time. Not only that, you can further refine your searches for going out on basis of music genres such as EDM, pop, jazz, rock, Sufi, as in how you wish it to be. Having said that, the product or the platform also enables tourism to a great extent for enabling tourists to use the platform and discover the entertainment quotient in a city they are in and just look up for things of their preference and have a good evening because once you're done with the day with the museums and all the nice touristy stuff, everybody wants to chill, have a nice time in the evening. So that's where the product comes in. India is growing younger by the day, as we all know. 75% of our population is below 35 years of age. So not only are we the coolest problem, but also a very serious business. I'd like to just mention the business fundamentals for you to quickly understand. We are hitting a discovery inquiry of 180,000 per annum, and with a conversion rate of 20%, we are getting 36,000 bookings per annum on the platform. And our cost of customer acquisition is $1, and we are making $2.5 on the first transaction itself, which the user makes on our platform. Having said that, I believe the fundamentals of a business are not only the best in the competition right now, but one of the better in India as of now in our category. We are looking and we've done all this by raising a fund of $300,000, and that includes an FDI coming in from the US. And now we're looking to raise $500,000 to further expand our business, break even, and expand globally going forward. An investor can expect a ROI of 3x, and if the times are good, 10x as well. You can download the app from the platforms. Our product is live. You can check out, book an evening experience or two on your own, and just go out. And by the way, you can use the code GES, and we have tie-ups with a few places in Hyderabad right now, and probably have a good time. Thank you. Let's get the party started.
Thank you, Shivardi. We now have 5 minutes of questions from the judges.
Thank you for that very clear explanation. It sounds like, and I don't have anything to do tonight after the reception, so
now
I like that. Yeah. Could you describe how to keep the content up to date from the merchandise, restaurant, party venue side, and how your app keeps things up to date and refreshed? Because sort of with the entertainment and making sure you have the latest buzz product.
So as I mentioned in the beginning of the pitch, we're using automation techniques and other intelligence on the back end. That's how a very, very small team of ours is able to cover. We have tie-ups to begin with a lot of venues. And over and above that, we're able to use technology in our favor to bring content up. And we're covering pan-India, although we are majorly marketing in the Delhi NCR region right now.
Well, first off, thank you for going first. Question for you. You mentioned AI in your write-up,
yes,
but I haven't heard you talk about how you're leveraging AI. There was an amazing panel before lunch. Could you talk a little bit about that and how it's personalized for me as a tourist?
So AI, we're using the automation intelligence technique to basically, that's on the back end where we are running the algos to probably, understand the user behavior and use it for recommendation to the user based on their searches and their bookings, as in how it goes. And as a tourist, as you asked me, you just have to know about the platform. So it'll be a very neutral platform for you where you don't have to go through any middlemen with inherent vested interests because they're more interested in making commissions, etc. That's a problem centric to India. So, and you overcome that, and you have a neutral platform. And before you step into a place, you'll have the ratings, and you'll come to know the kind of environment you'll be stepping into before you decide to have that kind of an evening. Yeah.
How are you going to create a little bit of an entry barrier for others? It's how hard is it to copy what you're doing and scale it up with someone who has the money that you're looking for?
Yeah. So, Ms. Menon, First of all, our product right now is catering to the Indian market. So when I understand from your question that you'd be wanting to know the entry barrier in India as a proposition. So in that case, first of all, our markets are very unique. So we've had a very deep understanding of the market as we did the product and before we enter the market. And we've curated unique solutions to break this kind of entry barrier that is required in terms of payment cycles, etc. There are so many barriers that I think I'll have to go offline and discuss that. The kind of attitude and the kind of adoption of technology that is there on the demand side per se, and over and above that, the technology, how it's leveraged and how the product is put onto the venues also to understand as such. Yeah. I can discuss more offline if you want.
Could you talk a little bit to your experience and your team's experience prior to this?
Sure. So I, on the management level, there's me along with my co-founder, Mr. Varun Bajaj. And I come from a IP background, that's intellectual property rights. I was practicing as an IP lawyer before I ventured into this. But my area of practice was mostly patents and trademarks, copyrights, wherein a lot of entertainment quotient came in because through a lot of copywriting, trademarks and all for music, etc. And my co-founder handles the product and all the details that go with it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let's give a hand for Shivarti.
Thank you.
Next up, I welcome Maria Burns-Ortiz from the United States.
Hi, I'm Maria Burns-Ortiz, co-founder and CEO of 7 Generation Games. How many of you here have children or even just know children? And how many of you want the best possible future for those kids? And how many agree current educational approaches could be improved to help meet that goal? That's what we do at 7 Generation Games. In the United States alone, there are 40 million children in schools today who stand to finish their education unable to meet math proficiency standards. That's not even good at math. It's just the basic foundational skills for everything from the rapidly growing number of jobs in STEM to financial literacy. When it comes to multiplication, division, fractions, basic statistics, we are literally and figuratively failing our children. And this isn't just a US problem. In fact, in Latin America, 70% of students do not meet the minimum benchmark for math proficiency. That's why we created 7 Generation Games. We combine educational research, artificial intelligence, and game design into video games that teach math in culturally relevant contexts in English and Spanish. With $1.7 million in funding to date, almost exclusively from non-dilutive small business grants, we've built out a proprietary platform on top of which we've developed a growing line of games optimized to meet technological needs from urban centers to rural and network-limited communities. With 40 years combined experience in education and 8 years technical expertise, our team of 10 has developed in-house and deployed our games at schools from within some of the largest US urban school districts to some of our country's most remote communities. We're seeing success in the US market, we're generating revenue, and we have traction, having doubled the number of schools using our games in the last 3 months alone. Most importantly, our games work. In a multi-year, multi-state efficacy study, kids who played our games improved 300% over the control group in just 10 weeks. Rolling out a bilingual line of games, we're now expanding internationally into Latin America, a market underserved by the ed tech industry, where the current annual growth rate for educational games is 47%. We have the infrastructure necessary to make this happen. Our games are accessible across the digital divide, can easily be culturally customized on the front end in terms of storyline, language, and artwork, and we have a business model that enables us to be profitable given income and adjustment and inflation across geographies. But to make this happen, we're seeking $750,000. This would enable us to increase our reach in the United States while making a parallel push across the Americas and accelerate our development timeline. We're also seeking connections within the educational sector as well as across the Latin America region. We're projecting 5% market penetration within 5 years, which would have us reaching 10 million students and $30 million annual revenue. At 7 Generation Games, we're making better educational games because better math scores lead to better educational outcomes, which open doors to better futures. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. We have 5 minutes, I'm sorry, 4 minutes for judges' questions.
So I'd like to understand a bit better. Is this a game that's distributed only to classrooms, or is it available for off-classroom teaching as well?
So we've actually, our main revenue focus and model is classrooms because we think we're going to reach most number of children there, and as well as it's an annual subscription model. Although we have, because it's a much quicker sale, offered the game directly to individual consumers as well, and we think the two fit into each other because parents will go to schools and say, hey, my kid's using this game, and kids will come home and tell their parents are using it, and so they're purchasing it as well. So especially because in the US in particular, the educational market is such a long sales cycle, we're offering both, although ultimately the bulk of our revenue we see coming from this annual subscription model.
Thank you, Maria. That was very inspiring. My question for you is if you could tell us a bit about the background of your team in terms of developing the content for what you're doing, and how you're dealing with government, especially now that you're expanding into Latin America. Do you deal with departments of education and so on?
Yeah, exactly. So we have a 3-person founding team. I lead the creative. My background is I come from a writing background. I wrote a New York Times bestseller. I taught digital media, multimedia storytelling. So I run the creative team, and then myself and another co-founder also run the business development. Our president was an educator. She taught math at every level from middle school through graduate courses in education. She also does the back end because she's a statistician. And then our CTO comes from the defense industry in the United States, where he develops simulation software, and so he builds out our 3D virtual worlds. And then regarding, sorry, what was the second?
Government,
Oh,
like
yes.
how you partner
And then
with
regarding government, well, it's actually, we are very excited about the international market because the United States, our educational system selling is very fragmented, and so there's no uniform approach. What we like about a lot of foreign markets, and we find very promising, is it's a national level sale. So we have engaged with, for example, Trinidad. We were in some early conversations there. We're exploring some other markets, but we're really excited about that because it is a one sale, and then it's a national curriculum where they push it out as opposed to the United States market.
Could you address the comprehensiveness of your library and why a smaller player can compete with some of the entities that are offering a very comprehensive look at textbooks and various suites? And I guess I'm trying to understand the math versus reading versus writing and the different types of content you have. And then secondly, because you're aiming at school districts, what kind of what's your feedback mechanism, and is there a drop-off in 1 year to the next and various things with the school districts and the sales themselves?
So content-wise, we've built out our line of games. We do not view ourselves as a core product. We will never replace textbooks. We view ourselves as a supplementary product. And so we cover about 30 to 40% of standards. And by standards, we're not talking specific, but things like multiplication standards. You need division, basic skills. So we cover that as a complementary product, and we never see ourselves replacing everything else. As far as kind of building it out from there, that's our main focus.
We have time for one more question.
Okay. So you mentioned the U.S. market. It's fragmented, budgets are tight. Talk about your distribution model. How is it you're going to reach these school systems at a cost-effective manner?
Well, one of the really exciting things to us, we've set our price point, it's about $1 per student at the district level, so we are not looking to be a huge purchase, and that's why we've had a lot of success recently, because it's not a $50,000 buy, well, depending on the size of your schools, but we've been going after the smaller markets, so they're able to purchase it, and it's not one of those things where we have to replace something else. I always say, you don't have one app on your smartphone, you don't have one book on your shelf, you can't, it's not limited to just one single math game, and that's where I think we really stand as we've set ourselves at a price point where we are accessible, and a school can make that purchase, even in many cases in the United States, without having to go to the district level because we're within their discretionary budget.
Thank you very much. I'd like to now welcome to the stage Nureza Shamsul Bahrain with Mad Cat Zugoland from Malaysia.
All right, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aiza. I'm from Mad Cat World. So what we do is that we work with zoos, especially in Southeast Asia, because you find that in Southeast Asia, the zoos are decent, but they lack the funding to build it into a first-rate zoo. Right? So what happens is that you tend to find that when you come and visit the zoo again, you see that nothing much has changed. Because they break even by doing ticket sales, they do corporate and government sponsorships. So what Zugoland does is that it provides a platform for zoos to, if they cannot fix the zoo physically, they can actually enhance the experience of the visitors. So it allows the zoos to have interactive map, and then you have the geo-fencing data, and then you could it's something like Pokemon at the zoo. right? So you collect the animals, and then you get information about the animals. You can even name the animals because the animals belong to you in this virtual zoo called Zugaland. So this is your land, right? So what we hope to do also is that when this happens, you collect the animals, you can adopt the animals so that it can raise funds for the zoo. So the zoo can target maybe top 20 animals to be adopted, and the money goes back to them. So then at the same time, the app will help you plan your routes. So what you tend to find is that sometimes you have small children and you have physical disabilities, or you have a limited time, or you just want to see specific animals. So Zugaland will help you plan that route for you so that you can make sure that you see everything. So in a typical zoo, you have about 300 animals. You only see maybe the top 30, right? So we want people to come back and visit. Okay, so for the zoos themselves, they will get this collective behavioral data analysis so that you can tell who are the people who go to the zoos, what do they do, what do they like, and then how long do they spend on average at the zoo. Okay, so our business model, we charge a very minimal setup fee because we've already set up for zoos in Southeast Asia, right? So then we have the data already, so we have this knowledge base already in there. So these are typical animals at a Southeast Asia zoo, and then we just change the residency information. Okay, so our attraction, we are going to set up at the National Zoo next year in January. This is in Malaysia. So we have 2 zoos coming up in the pipeline. We have a petting zoo that wants to come aboard, and then we have a mini theme park that heard about us and want us to change the animals to sites, right? So our mission is to inspire children so that they understand more about the conservation efforts by the zoo. So if you know this, then you can make the world a better place, at least. So our call to action is that we would like to partner with people who are interested to help us bring this Zugaland to Southeast Asian zoos. So if you're from Southeast Asia, please come and talk to me. I would love to work with you to do that. And at the same time, we would like to raise 200,000 to help us enhance, improve, and make it more robust, this product. So what makes us unique is the crowdfunding ability on the platform. So you can decide which animal you want to raise funds for, and then do that specific crowdfunding, and doing it at a very minimal level. So you're charging like 99 cents or $1, right? And then you can also have that knowledge base.
Thank you, Nereza. 4 minutes of judges Q&A.
Can you talk about your experience and your team's experience?
Sure. We are mobile application developers, so we live in Malaysia. I've been doing this for the last 17 years. I used to work for Nokia, and then I worked for, we used to build apps for the Nokia phone. Okay, so now we have built about 100 plus apps, and this is our latest product.
Thank you.
Could you talk a little bit more to the commercial side? I didn't quite understand what the revenue stream would be.
Okay, so there'll be a few revenue streams. So one would be the minimal setup fee. So when we go to a zoo, we map your zoo, we figure out what are the point of interest in that zoo, and then we also look at the residency information. So we take photos of your animals and stuff like that. So that would be a minimal setup fee. And then once we set up at the zoo, we have 3 other models. So one would be we offer a subscription model. So this is how we do crowdfunding. So you can subscribe to an animal. We send you periodic updates, and that helps the zoo raise funds. And it also helps repeat visitors back to the zoo, because hopefully if you see, oh, my animal is sick today, then come back to the zoo. And then we also have the transaction fee, where we do ticket sales through the app, we do merchandising, and we do animal feeding.
You talked about the importance of data, and you have a lot of data that is presumably from children or from families and things. Could you talk a little bit about the privacy and security controls that you're building into the product?
Okay, so right now the app basically sits on your phone, so it's more you and the app. So this Zugaland belongs to you. It's a virtual zoo that sits on your phone, but it maps the actual zoo that you're going. So whatever data you enter belongs inside the app. So the only thing that goes out is just your behavior. Where do you stop? What did you actually like? And things like that. So we're collecting that. So in Malaysia, we have a very strict data policy. So everybody signs this PDPA, something like that.
We have time for one more question.
And then I'll ask a question of, let's say you prove the success with this, with the Malaysia and the petting zoo and the various things. What would prevent zoos from doing this themselves? Why would they use you?
Yeah, so what happens is that when we talk about minimal fee, it's nothing like developing the app from scratch. Because if development of the app, like what we're doing right now, it costs us maybe close to 500K. So we're going to the zoo and we're charging like 20K. For example. So we want to make the barrier as low as possible for them to adopt us. So it'll be things like Zugaland at Zoo Negara, Zugaland at an Indian zoo, for example.
Thank you, Nareza.
All right, thanks.
Now I'd like to welcome Vaishali Neotia from Murxia Software in India.
Namaste. How many of you have tried the Oculus Rift demos at the back of the hall today? Quick show of hands. And have you considered virtual reality use cases beyond gaming? Let me help. 90% of companies have reported seeing an improvement in their worker performance when they're using augmented reality for maintenance. 48% of design companies have said that they've reduced the need to use physical prototypes when using virtual reality, and 9% stopped using them completely. GE says that 34% of their employees have been more efficient when they've used augmented reality for maintenance. So what is stopping all of us here from going back and using extended reality technologies to solve our business processes? When I say extended reality, I'm including augmented, mixed, and virtual. Now, this could probably be explained by a survey that PwC did. In a sample survey of engineering companies, they found that 83% of companies wanted to use XR to improve their business processes, but they either didn't know how to, or they did not want to spend time and money and effort in getting that done. Now imagine a world where businesses of any size can create their own XR content and make their top line higher, bottom line lower. The world is heading towards content creation. We've seen it with YouTube, we see it with WordPress for websites, and that's happening with XR. And that's where I come in. I am Vaishali Neotia, the co-founder and CEO of Murxia Software, India's leading extended reality company. We have worked over the years with these technologies solving real-world problems across sectors. And we found the opportunity to democratize the access to extended reality. By 2020, every year, 75 million AR/VR devices will be shipped globally. And those users will need a way to create quick content, fast and cheap. And we have done exactly that. We have created a software which will help you do this. It's called RED. RED is an extended reality authoring tool for non-coders. A non-coder can, in 3 steps, create their own XR. Import a 3D file, press publish, and see it across devices, from the Oculus Rift to the Microsoft HoloLens, iPad, Samsung Gear VR. And we're already doing paid pilots with people across sectors, from defense to aerospace to engineering, and we want to hit healthcare next, where doctors would be able to view your CT scans and diagnose better and faster using RED. And in terms of where we are looking at with the subscription model, we're doing $300 for professional users per year as an annual license fee, and $3,000 for enterprises. And we hope to get at least 3,000 customers by the end of next year on the professional user side, and another 24 on the enterprise side. And if any of you here want to understand how to use RED to improve your business efficiency, you can come and talk to me. I'm at the summit. If you believe in our vision to make RED the de facto standard for XR creation, please connect. I'll tell you where to put your time, money, and experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishali. Judges?
Thanks, Vaishali. I was just wondering if you could take us through one case which you thought was the most interesting for you for the use of RED.
So we're actually working, one of the paid pilots is with the Indian Army, where they're using RED to create training modules for their employees, where they use RED to create a complete training scenario around the complex machines that they use. Now, we know that nobody uses manuals, right? When you get a manual, nobody wants to go through it. It's very difficult, takes time. If that entire manual could be visually displayed for me, and if I'm able to see everything labeled, the entire machine labeled, if I have to perform a particular operation, all of that is shown to me visually. There's like a Siri kind of guiding me through the whole thing. That makes things so much more efficient. And if you can do that without having to depend on an external developer, if you can do it in-house using something like RED, that's where the Army is seeing value, and they're using it for that. Thank you.
Can I build upon that? And could you discuss a little bit of your customer acquisition costs and why, in particular, you prioritize the particular segments that you mentioned, the defense and the aerospace, before going to medical?
So to be very honest, the scope of RED is sector agnostic. It's essentially a tool where we're saying you do whatever you want, you do it with your own content. Your 3D content could be a machine, it could be a CT scan, whatever. The reason we've started with defense, aerospace, and engineering is because these are the industries we've seen who have the money, who have already the need, and they have 3D data already available. So it made sense for us to approach them first. And sorry, what was the first part of your question?
The customer, it sounds like
customer
demonstrating the use capability would take a lot of effort on behalf of your team.
Right. So these initial pilots are only enterprise customers, and we're looking at doing individual sales, so getting about 2 per month. That's our aim. But where we are actually seeing the money and the volume is on the professional user side. That's going to be marketing heavy. And for that, we're looking at about 20 cents per customer acquisition. We're looking at about 1.5 million eyeballs next year. And a number of 3,000 paid users at the end of it. So freemium model for the first month, and then 3,000 paid users for the year, which would give us about $900,000 in the top line next year. That's what we're aiming for. Yeah.
That's really impressive. Can you just clarify a bit? You have a B2B model that you just spoke about, and you were mentioning in your presentation you have a B2C model as well, right? Could you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. So B2B, like I mentioned, is specific use cases. So companies who want to create training, for example, or they have different teams across the globe, and they want people to coordinate between offices. So you can create a virtual space for people to do design reviews together. Okay. So that's a very enterprise use case. For the consumer angle, currently we are looking at professional users. So there will be people who are professionals. So for example, a doctor or a freelance designer or an architect. So going forward, it might become an open use case where consumers who have the hardware, be it an iPad or be it a Samsung Gear VR, I have the hardware to consume this, and I have 3D data to be able to generate an XR. So for example, I have my kid and I want to teach them the solar system. And so instead of giving it on a book or even a video, I put the child inside the solar system, and all I do as a mother is download a solar system model, 3D model, put it into the software and put the kid in it. Right? So that's probably a later vision. But for now, it's enterprise and professional users who will still have the same
And
use
for the
cases.
professional users, you'll be providing training content for them on how to do that?
No, so we will obviously, we will have an FAQ and a small video to show them how to use it. But we've made the interface so simple, it's all plug and play, drag and drop, that we expect the user to only have expertise in terms of, I know how to use a computer, and that's it. That's all I need, and I can understand how to use the software.
Thank you, Vaishali.
Thank you.
Next up, I'd like to introduce Surinder Sharma with Smart Kids, Inc. from the United States.
There is a global learning crisis. 330 million children in this world are in schools but are failing to learn. India is the world's biggest school system, and it has a crisis of its own. Half of the 9-year-olds cannot do a sum as simple as 8 plus 9. Half of the 10-year-olds cannot read a book that is meant for 7-year-olds. High-quality educational books are very expensive and not easily available in semi-urban and rural areas. The global edtech spend is set to go up to $252 billion by the end of 2020, with Asia experiencing the fastest growth at 17% per annum. The spending on schools in India increased by 80% between 2011 and 2015. The potential market in India is 21 million children that are enrolled in schools in the age group of 6 to 13 years. Now, Smart Kids Club uses a comprehensive approach to address this issue. We produce high-quality original content for elementary-grade kids, and we deliver it using digital technology, both web and mobile, using subscription model. Our platform is easy to use with built-in assessments and fosters parent, student, teacher, networking, and engagement. Our solution fits all educational settings from rural to urban. We provide subscriptions to parents for about $10 a month. The teacher subscriptions are available with enhanced functionality. We have bulk licensing models for school systems, and we also provide countrywide licenses to governments. Our education in a box preloaded tablet works where there is no internet or electricity, and we plan to make it in India. We are currently deploying in the market with first paying customers. We have about 35,000 downloads, and we have 1,000 plus subscribers. We are currently working in Kenya, Uganda, and India through our partners. Our ask is $500,000 US to be used in India for marketing and sales. We are projecting an ROI of 4 times by the end of year 2. We are also looking for partners to work with us in different countries who would like to bring Smart Kids Club into their countries. We have a multifaceted team who is diverse in its talents and qualifications and balanced gender representation. We are copyright and trademark protected with patents in progress. Finally, educated minds are a vital asset of any nation. As per Government of India, education is the single most important factor to ensure gender equality and empowerment. Smart Kids Club mission is to make education affordable and accessible to all kids around the world, and also adding value to its stakeholders. So join us in our mission, invest in us, partner with us, support us. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges?
Thank you. Very, very important endeavor. My question is, I've been to a number of schools here in Hyderabad. I've yet to see a mobile device, a tablet at any of the schools. So what's the access to the devices and the cost?
So we have, for schools who do not have electronic tablets or devices, our solution works with a TV. So there is a TV and there is a tablet. So most of the TVs are smart TVs, and the teacher gets a tablet with enhanced functionality where she has a resources synced offline. She just smartcasts it onto the TV, and she can use it in the whole classroom to be used as a teaching tool. So our resources have quizzes and activities for the teachers. The teachers can recommend books to the students. So that is a model that can be used in schools where they cannot afford tablets.
I just want to understand a bit better how you plan to take this to rural schools in India, where even the teachers' level or ability or net savviness is not at par with an urban marketplace.
Yes, that's a good question. So we have around 600 resources, and we keep adding those resources, and all of our books are read aloud. So they read out to the child, and there is pronunciation and vocabulary involved. Each word is highlighted. So this is something that we've piloted in a couple of schools in Haryana, where we go, they're not even desks and chairs. So the teacher takes it on a tablet or a smartphone, plugs it onto a speaker, and basically it is helping the teacher also learn the correct pronunciations. And it helps the teacher take the correct, right pronunciations and educational value to the kids. How we're going to plan to do it in rural schools is obviously through the help of the government, or sponsorships from corporations who have customer, what do you call that? Corporate social responsibility, yeah.
This is a very noble mission that you're on. I commend you for it. Speaking about CSR, is this what allowed you initially to take off the project and start with it? Was this your primary source of funding in the beginning?
This is not a primary source of funding. This is the social part of the mission. So why it was started was because learning was moving from print books onto digital media. So the kids and the parents all were consuming content on the digital media. And high quality educational books, especially nonfiction, were not easily available to every child. And they were really expensive. The parents complain about having books being very expensive, we can't afford. So 85% of our content is nonfiction and educational. So we have categorized it according to grade levels and according to subject categories. So there is a category on solar system, which will have books on all the planets, right? There is a category on countries of the world, which will have books on countries around the world. So what we do is, this is not, rural is not the main focus, but it's the social part of it. We are also selling to high, international schools in and around Delhi. We have orders from those schools. So those are the customers that can actually afford to buy, and those are the ones that we are going to target with the money that we raise. We are going to have a sales and marketing team which goes and pitches or presents to each of these schools. But we also want to partner with governments to bring this tool into the rural areas, because our mission is that no child should be left behind. A child who cannot afford resources should still have access to high quality resources. So that was the reason that this was started, and it has multiple models. Because we own the content, we have copyrights to all the content as well as the technology. We can have several business models, molded to the needs of different educational settings.
Thank you, Surinder. And our final pitcher today is Helen Berkowitz with Receipt Me from Israel.
Thank you. Last but not least. Okay. I love Bon Jovi. Any music fans here? Okay. Bon Jovi is my favorite musician of all time. So imagine my disappointment when the concert ticket that I bought went missing. And the paper receipt that I received from the concert venue when I bought this ticket with cash also went missing. I was so disappointed. This is an enormous problem, not only in the media and entertainment industry, but for retail as well. Why? The reason for that is because most consumers lose or throw out their receipts after making a purchase, making it difficult, if not impossible, to return or exchange items. This is especially relevant right now during the holiday shopping season. So what we have in these instances with so much paper receipts is loss of funds, because I've spent money on something that I cannot return or exchange, wasted products because I've bought something I can no longer use and I can't do anything with. And it also causes a lot of strain between merchants and retailers. I'm a lot less likely to return to a certain store when I can't easily return or exchange something. Not to mention the enormous amount of environmental harm that is caused by millions of gallons of water, oil, harmful chemicals, and trees that are all used to generate so much paper. Receipt Me is here to solve that problem. In 4 words, we are paperless receipts on mobile. Our digital solution eliminates paper receipts completely by sending a digital receipt right at checkout to consumers' mobile devices. Here's how it works. At checkout, no matter how a consumer pays for something, whether it's credit card, cash, check, whatever, 2 things happen. 1, the consumer gets a quick text message on their phone, sort of like a summary of the transaction, and at the same time, a full e-receipt is sent to their mobile device via our mobile app. This allows for greater efficiency and much more customer engagement, not to mention the benefit to the environment. What our competitors are currently doing, they send receipts via email. You've probably experienced that yourselves in many different stores. We believe that email is inefficient because it's slowly going the way of the dinosaur. Nobody really wants more emails in their crowded inboxes. Often we don't even get them anyway because of typos and junk mail filters. Our digital solution is more efficient and it's faster, and no one has to manually scan any receipts. What's also important is that our system really enhances the in-store retail experience and also lowers the cost for retailers, so they don't have to spend millions of dollars in receipt printers, ink, cartridges, and all those kinds of costly expenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Judges?
It would seem that Amazon is one of your biggest competitors with online shopping. How do you respond to that?
So, great question, thank you. We're really focused on in-store purchases. E-commerce, of course, is an enormous market, but we're really focused on in-store purchases for clothing, food, concert tickets, and any kind of physical good that you buy in a store. E-commerce is sort of a competitor, but they do send via email, and we're not really doing that.
Could you walk us through, I understood very well the experience of the shopper. Could you walk us through the merchant and what they need to do to enable this, and why this product over another solution that they have that helps them on their own accounting and things in the back end? And then if you could touch on the regulatory implications you may face with all of this data, which includes very sensitive things like credit card numbers and what you purchased.
Right, okay. So ReceiptMe is sort of a two-pronged system. On one hand, we have a consumer-facing mobile application, like I explained, allows us to, as consumers, to see our transaction information on mobile. We also have the back-end system. Our software integrates with retail point-of-sale systems. For example, we're building a pilot program with Shopify. Shopify has 500,000 customers. So our software integrates with retail point-of-sale systems. So right at checkout, a consumer can hold their mobile device in close proximity to the point-of-sale system. And using wireless technology, our software triggers a function to send that digital information right at checkout. You asked about
privacy and security and regulatory.
Okay, so that's definitely a concern, and it varies country to country, and even in the US, state by state. We will be regulatorily compliant with regulations. Just as on a paper receipt, if you think about the last thing you bought, if you used a credit card, it doesn't show the full 16-digit card. It only shows the last 4 for security reasons. It doesn't show the CVV. It's just a summary of the transaction information. So we will not have access to full credit card details. We will see the same information that you see on a paper receipt now.
Let me just add, thank you. You are beyond living on a prayer today.
Thank you.
Great job. We're now going to give the judges about 5 minutes to deliberate, and then we'll be announcing the winner. So if you've stuck it out this long, stick around, because I know you all want to find out who the judges pick. Thank you.